People have been questioning why I'm putting up videos like this. I'm exposing what goes on behind the scenes and how people like Felipe Hemming and his crew attack, slander, and try to get other auditors arrested that they do not like. I'm about to show you the proof of how they have come after me personally, as I did in my previous video about High Desert Community Watch, aka Philip Hernandez, and his attempts to have me jailed by insulting my wife and calling her, quote, a crack whore, trying to incite me to violence so I would be arrested and subsequently out of the auditing community. Sadly, the first part of this video will be how they even went after my now deceased wife, Tara, who was terminally ill when she took her own life in late November of 2018. And chronically ill for many years leading up to her death. This is my beautiful wife, Tara. She was terminally ill, and over the 9 years that we were together, I watched her go from a healthy, strong, independent woman to a housebound 84-pound recluse who was in more physical pain than most people would ever imagine enduring. Weeks before her death, she was given mere months to live and was completely incontinent. There wasn't one moment where she wasn't in excruciating pain. Now, let me show you what California Guardian and especially Felipe Hemming had to say about my wife's death. Here are screen grabs sent to me by a fellow auditor from Merb's Discord chat. Merb is a lawyer from Northern California. We'll get into him more later. These are the conversations California Guardian and Felipe Hemming had with hundreds of people about my wife, her death, and heinous accusations against me. So here's an example of California Guardian calling me a fraud, saying Tara wasn't ill and we only said that for money. And there's Felipe Hemming agreeing. Considering Tara and I were only together for 9 years, there's the first lie and exaggeration. So here's California Guardian saying he met Tara and she didn't seem sick. This from a man who only met my wife a handful of times. If you're unfortunate enough to know someone who is chronically ill, you'll know that their single most pet peeve is the line, "You don't seem sick." And sadly, most of the women out there already know this, but when men tell the truth, it's the truth. When women tell the truth, they have to negotiate for how they're perceived. There is always this idea that women are lying or exaggerating, especially in regards to medical care. And here's Felipe's view on my wife's suicide, that she was selfish because she didn't end her life the way he thinks she should have. Actually, Felipe is being incredibly selfish by saying that his way is the best and or only way. So here's California Guardian saying that since assisted suicide is legal in California, no one should end their life in any other way. I don't know who made him chairman of the board of the universe, but apparently it's a self-appointed title. Another person, which I don't know, agreeing her suicide was selfish. Take your out-of-touch ideas about suicide and please stop chiming in on events that you have little or no experience with. I also want to take a moment to thank the commenter Bob for his comment, "It's a free country." My wife had the right to die however she wanted. She went to a place that held her happiest memories, a place we visited together countless times, a place we would take our beloved dogs. She went there and surrounded herself with those beautiful memories as her last place on this earth. How is that selfish at all? Here's California Guardian again saying we had multiple GoFundMe pages and alleging we were using her, quote, illness to make money. He then says if she was sick for a long time. And sir, this is your first truthful statement. She was sick for over 8 years of the 9 years that we were together. In that time, she had multiple surgeries and countless hospital and doctor visits, including specialists. I am not ashamed to say that on occasion, we needed help with her medical bills. Here's Felipe Hemming telling how to get her medical examiner's report and his taking bets if any of Tara's illnesses were real. This is absolutely appalling and shows the absolute lack of character of a man that is Felipe Hemming. Thank you to this commenter who says that it's none of their business and to leave us in peace. And Felipe's go-to comment, quote, "It's simply another public record," close quote. This is his tactic to expose people's personal information. And to the point, what does my wife's records have anything to do with the First Amendment auditing community? Let her rest in peace, for God's sake. And once again, Felipe's opinion of suicide. Just to be clear, my wife's illness wasn't temporary, it was terminal, and her father died an early and painful death from the same genetic disorder. Here's the first of many times California Guardian has alleged Tara and I weren't legally married. This is hard to read, so I will read it for you. Quote, "Tara and Johnny weren't married. No matter what farce ceremony he keeps showing photographs of, she was still married to the blank guy. Why was she still using her husband's name and not Johnny's last name or her maiden name? For a group of people so hell-bent on exposing public records, he sure doesn't want to talk about the records of my wife's divorce from her first husband or our marriage license issued by the state of California in the county of Los Angeles. A caveman would be able to find that record online. But he doesn't talk about those public records because it doesn't support his narrative. Isn't that omission convenient? My wife used her maiden name. She was an independent woman and didn't feel the need to take my legal last name. I'm man enough not to need a woman to take my last name. I was proud to be her husband and she was proud to be my wife. Here are the wedding photos from our fake wedding. I'm glad our family and friends were part of this charade back in 2014, knowing that 5 years in the future we would need it to support false accusations by California Guardian and Felipe Hemming. Kind of reminds me of the Terminator movie series, adjusting our past to fit our future. Now let's get to the heinous accusations that I murdered my wife. California Guardian says, quote, "He is unstable," close quote. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. This is how California Guardian thinks all women kill themselves. And we see Felipe agreeing with him. He's trying to use the psychology of women to push this agenda, implying that because my wife did not commit suicide that way, I must be a murderer. Thanks to this person who apparently went to college and studied psychology and not just read an article from Time magazine from 1988. Setting California Guardian straight. Here's yet another shot of California Guardian claiming I'm a murderer. He says she was a kind, considerate soul, which she was, but California Guardian, if you really believe that, why didn't you stand up to High Desert Community Watch when he called her a crack whore back in March of 2018? You were there watching that day in the courthouse. Let's talk about the real reason they are pushing the agenda that I killed my wife. They want the police to investigate me. We all know that we take our lives into our own hands when we have encounters with the police. They want the police to think that I'm an unstable person and possibly a murderer, thus hoping I will either be jailed, killed, or injured by police during an encounter. They will go to any length to silence me and remove me from this community. What are they so afraid of? My exposing them for working for the government, CIA, FBI, etc.? Thanks again to this person. I agree it is pathetic for California Guardian and Felipe Hemming to gloat over my wife's suicide. However, this is not simply about personal issues. They will do anything to silence me and get me out of this movement. Anything. Here is one screen grab of Felipe Hemming saying he can't fathom why I have a gun in my home. There are more conversations where Felipe will talk about my being a gun owner and putting me down for it. I want to say 3 things about this. Number 1, how dare you question my Second Amendment right? This is America. I have the right to have a legal firearm. How dare you? Number 2, this shows that he paid to get my wife's death records. This is the only way that he could know that the firearm was legally registered to us. And number 3, most importantly, this is his way to let the police know there's a firearm in my home, or that they should expect a firearm if they have an encounter with me. A sleazy way to make sure cops have their guns ready if they encounter me. Unstable murderer with a firearm. Anyone else seeing this picture clearly? Please comment below. When Tara passed away, I had to put up a GoFundMe page to help pay for her funeral expenses. Here is Merb himself showing their attempts to have the GoFundMe page taken down for fraud. This is who Merb is and what he supports. Shame on you. So here's California Guardian admitting we were never close. So which is it, California Guardian? Did you know me and Tara well, and I'm a murderer? Or the actual truth, that we were never close, and you're just here to push an agenda? For those of you that might say they only did this in Discord, or they only made those statements immediately following Tara's death, here's California Guardian saying this on my page yesterday in the comments section. Which begs the question of, when will this end? This is why I am making this video. For those of you who question why I claim Felipe works for the government, here's my reasoning. This is my opinion and only my opinion. First of all political and social movements are infiltrated by the government, from the civil rights movement, Black Panthers, Black Lives Matter, Occupy Wall Street, etc. If you don't think the First Amendment auditing community is a political movement and worthy of infiltration, you are sorely mistaken. Here's some bullet points on a concept called controlled opposition. That's where the government is actually in charge of a political movement, which is obviously Felipe's goal. This is also similar to COINTELPRO. If you're unfamiliar with either one of these terms, I suggest that you look into them further. So at the end of the day, this movement is completely Felipe-centric, for lack of a better term. All of the outbursts by all of the auditors, one needs to take a look at Felipe Hemming. He is backing all of their actions, all of the words that come out of their mouth, and he needs some mouthpieces. High Desert Community Watch is his #1 recruiter. He reached out to me, he reached out to all the new guys, and the goal is always the enticement of Felipe's wife is a lawyer and we can help you. However, if you refuse to be a part of Felipe's group or narrative, or refuse to use Krista Hemming, Felipe's wife, as your lawyer, they will go against you with everything that they have, as seen here. I want to leave you with the words of my beautiful wife, Tara. This is how she felt about death, life, and love. I will never stop fighting for what's right.
What I was saying is, the biggest thing that I learned in this life is that it is always about love. And what I can say truly is that I loved deeply, and I was loved by many deeply, and that I hope that some of the things that I did helped people and helped to change some people's lives. Because there's a much bigger picture than what's happening here. I don't want people to be sad that I've died. I want you to be happy that you ever knew me, and to keep benefiting from whatever it is you learned or got from me, and to share it with other people. never been afraid of dying, and I'm not afraid now. There's a big part of me that wants to go home. And by home, I mean death, because that is home. But I want to make sure that the people who loved me, I want to make sure that the people who loved me know that I felt it. I felt it deeply, and it carried me at times that I couldn't carry myself. What I've gone through being chronically ill with invisible illnesses has been hell. And the way people treat you is horrible. But I've always had a team by my side pulling for me. And when those people, medical professionals, had me feeling like I just wanted to kill myself because there was no hope, there was always one of you there to say the right thing. There's so many things that I would like to share and say that I think are the most important, but one big thing is, it's really hard to be sick like this. And the last thing we need is people not believing us, or belittling it, or standing in the way of us getting better. Because everyone deserves respect, and everyone needs love. At the end of the day, it is always, always, always about love. Love big, love hard, and allow yourself to be loved. Thank you. Thank you. So many of you made this life fucking amazing. And I thank you for it. I never had a man who loved me the way that you did. I never had a man who would stand by me and to stand by me and to also carry me and to fight for me and to somehow, through all of the most horrible things, love me even more every day. I never had that until you. And I feel so honored because you taught me that not all men leave. Not all men leave. And some men, when they say that I love you and I'm not going anywhere, really do mean it. You sacrificed to make sure that I had what I needed. And you've taken care of me even when you didn't have much to give. And what a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing that we got to be a part of such an amazing love.